For this lab, we are looking at polygenic traits. So polygenic traits or polyallelic traits means that there's some trait that's controlled by more than one gene or more than one allele. In this case, we're going to look at risk for heart disease. So sometimes risk for heart disease is behavior related. Overweight, smoking, high sodium diet. But there is a genetic component. So if you have a family history of heart disease, it's more likely that you'll get heart disease. What I have, or what I'm going to need for this lab, are something like 2 cups. It doesn't have to be cups, but just some kind of container. And I need some objects. In this case, I'm just going to use marshmallows. These are going to represent healthy genes. These are going to represent a heart disease gene. So you can see I just marked them with a Sharpie. But you could use anything. You could use pennies that you've marked, or you could use cereal, or you could use pieces of paper. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. Marbles. All you need is 2 different things. 6 of one, 6 of the other. So that's the only real requirements here. What we're going to do then is take 5 of these healthy marshmallows, put them into the one container, and I'm going to add 1 heart disease in there. So that's going to represent Lois. All right, so Lois is a low risk for heart disease. She only has the 1 gene with the heart disease. All right, I'm going to shake these up, and I'm just going to pick out 3 of them because the offspring are going to have half of Lois's genes. In this case, they get 3 healthy genes. All right, so from Lois's side, they're in pretty good shape. So on my paper, I'm going to color the first child is going to have 3 normal genes. Paul is at risk for heart disease. So in that cup, I'm going to put 3 that are marked and 3 that are not. And I'm going to shake those up and I'll pull them out. And I just want 3 of them. So in this case, I've got 2 that are marked for heart disease. So I'll add that to the first child. So the first child's going to have 4 that are normal. 4 of those circles are normal. 2 of them I'm going to shade in to represent heart disease. Then I'm going to go on to the second child. And the same thing. I'm going to set up Lois again. So for Lois, she has 5 that are good. And she has 1 that's bad. And so I'm going to shake that up and take 3 out. And I want you to see here that it's just random. So my answers are not going to look exactly like your answers. But it does illustrate the idea that genes are randomly given to offspring. So whatever genes the parents have are shuffled and randomly given to the offspring. So in this case, I've got 1 that has heart disease. All right, so I'm going to, for half of that child, 1 of those circles is going to be filled in for heart disease. Then I'm going to set up Paul again. So I put 3 in that are marked and 3 that are not marked. And we're going to pull out 3 of the genes because he contributes half of the DNA to the child. And in this case, I've got 1 that's marked for heart disease. So the second child in my scenario is going to have 2 genes that are marked for heart disease. Now, the more genes you have marked for heart disease, the higher the risk becomes. So I'm going to continue to do this throughout the pedigree. So Lois and Paul's children, and then some of those children are going to get married. So I have to find out what their spouses are, and then what their children will be. And from that, we're going to analyze in the risks of heart disease. If they have a lot of the marked genes, then there's going to be a very high chance that they have heart disease. If they have a lot of the genes that are not marked, then they're going to have a very low risk of heart disease. But the heart disease trait is going to run in their family to greater or lesser degrees based on what the parents give to the children. So hopefully that helps you a little bit better. If you want to make it so that you have more than just 6 of these, you have a whole bunch that are clear, and you have a whole bunch that are marked, then you don't have to do what I was doing where I had to kind of mix and match. You could have a container that's completely one individual and a container that's completely filled with the other one, and just draw 3 out of the one cup, draw 3 out of the other cup, and see what those results are. But you're going to have to make more than 6. You have to have 12, up to 12 of each one, in case you have a parent, both parents are either completely normal or both parents are completely susceptible to heart disease. But either way, that you want to work at, you can get the results for that polygenic inheritance lab.